where you just see how people were in a different time, and it makes you feel like, oh, there's a universality to how hard it all is, and the performances are wonderful. Everything is nuanced, and there's really strange, unique things. This is kind of what I was trying to talk about in my limerick, is there's like really specific things that would never happen in 99.9% of people's lives.
Yeah,
but
that poor horse. Right. There's a lot of horse drama in this movie.
There's a lot of horse drama. But for some reason, even that specificity makes the story more universal, right? We understand it's a window into a kind of feeling that we can all relate to, and creates a memorable image and touchstone for us as viewers to even deepen our relationship with the movie, even though it's a specific act or specific moment that we would never experience ourselves. Just a gorgeous piece of cinema, and a movie that I think should be on more people's radars, because I think it's really interesting.
I host a podcast called The Tobolowsky Files with Stephen Tobolowsky, and he tells stories in this podcast. And one of the stories he tells is called What is Hidden? And I'll read a little bit from the story. I can't do his justice, but he says here, the attempt to define what something's essence is has often been debated for centuries. Some people claim it is a religious concept. Others say it is a central part of political theory. Regardless, the essence of a thing appears to be made up of two components: what is seen and what is hidden. And he goes on to say, mystery may fascinate, but what compels us to know what is hidden? What is hidden is the seed of every lie, the hope of every prayer, and why they never show all the monster until the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. And the story is about the distinction between what is seen and what is hidden, and how often what is hidden is the essence of that thing. And that's what I was reminded of as I watched The Nest, is for much of the film, for like the first 45 minutes, you were watching what is seen, right? You were watching like externally this guy and his wife, and they have a loving relationship and a great family, and everything seems to be on the up and up. And as the movie goes on, you learn what is hidden, and the parts of themselves and their relationship and their family that they don't show the world, and this tension that exists that kind of threatens to bring them to the brink. And that is what the movie is about for me, right? It's this tension and how these characters navigate it. I really enjoyed the movie as well. I spent the first hour not knowing what it was about. I thought to myself, is this like his house for white people? The Netflix horror film that we reviewed a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it does have those components too. It does have some components of that to it. But I really enjoyed it. I think Sean Durkin's style is also very interesting. You may notice that many of Sean Durkin's shots are the camera is stationary.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this
framed
medium
tableaus.
Yeah, this medium wide shot that's stationary or like pans from left to right, but like very, very subtle camera movements. He's very into, let's put these characters in a scene. Let's just let it play out for, minutes sometimes.
I love it. Let the actors act. I love it.
Yeah, let the actors act. And the lack of cuts can create tension too, because the mind longs for a cut. You're like, I want this to cut. You might not internalize it in those words, but you think to yourself like, I want this to cut, because the cuts break tension, right? And in a situation like this, cuts can also create tension in other situations. And I think that he was able to use his style very effectively in this movie. So some thoughts on The Nest, but there's more to talk about in spoilers. But I'll just say it sounds like we all loved the movie. I enjoyed it as well, and it's great. So check it out. The Nest, you can stream it, you can buy it on digital video platforms. Let's get to spoilers starting right now.
Now you're looking for the secret.
You're going to see this coming.
No. But you won't find it because, of course,
You're not going to see this coming.
you're not really looking.
I have been puzzling over how it works.
You don't really want to work it out.
Who's in the box? I have been dying to tell you. I want to tell you my secret now.
You want to be fooled.
I'll just say that, man, the ending of this movie really broke me, guys. There's this incredible shot of Jude Law walking back into the house, right? into the dining room.
Yeah.
And he just says, "You know what, guys? I gotta move close. Let's move into the city.
Yeah.
I can be closer to the office, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great." And his daughter is just like, you can stop the bullshit now, and gives him this hug, and he kind of sits down at the table, and he's completely
they give him a plate of
exposed.
toast. Yeah.
Yeah. The holding of the hand from his wife to me was the thing that broke me.
Yeah. But just that scene, then Jude Law's performance in that scene is just like, he's lost everything. He's lost everything. And even still, he's trying to put on a good face,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It may or may not remind you of someone else in our society who has lost colossally and yet still, despite all odds, continues to try to claim victory. But I think there's something fundamental to the American ideal of like, no matter how bad it's going, we always put on a happy face.
Yeah.
And even though he's not American in this movie, it is really a heartbreaking depiction of that idea. Jeff, go ahead.
Well, at the risk of getting overly personal, and you can edit this out if it's too much, but I watched this movie by myself because my wife went to the hospital to visit her sister, her youngest sister, whose 8-month-old baby is having his third open heart surgery, or had just had. And she was delivering some care packages to them. She wasn't able to see them because of COVID. She just drove to the hospital and someone came down to her car and picked up the care packages and brought them up. And this beautiful little 8-month-old boy, who is the most innocent, sweet little thing, is going through utter hell right now for no good reason. He has literally a heart defect that no one has ever seen before. He's the first case of it. So forgive me for indulging in that detail, but literally the end of this scene happened. The Jude Law walks back in the room, says the thing. As the door to my house opens and my wife gets back from doing this, and I pause the movie as the first credits, like literally the first credit comes on the screen. And my wife comes in and starts relaying to me the experience she just had at the hospital and what little she was able to learn about the situation. And I completely broke down, just lost it. And I just felt like it was the same moment. It was my wife coming in and trying to put on a good face. And of course, these are characters that are very flawed in the film and do some kind of terrible things, I would say, many of them. Things that I wouldn't agree with or behave in ways that I find a little distasteful. But I feel like in that moment, I was struck by how fucking hard life is, and all we can do, like that moment where his wife just like holds his hand and his kids just kind of say, let's just be a family still, really moved me. Mm-hmm. And it's the kind of thing you don't really see in movies, right? This kind of movie is usually about the husband having an affair.
Right. It'd be like What Lies Beneath or something, right? Where he just turns into the Terminator at the end or some stupid thing.
It's all about, it gets to this grandiose place of the most extremes, and those extremes are real too. And there's movies that handle those extremes in grounded, interesting, good ways. But I just so appreciated just the subtlety and simplicity of that moment, and that feeling of like, man, it's really fucking hard. It's really fucking hard to just be. And this dude is trying, clearly screwed up from his own mom, who we see that relationship's fucked, you know? And this compulsion to prove via wealth, you know, that he's somebody. And the wife, in her own ways, messed up and unable to express her needs and the things that she's not finding. And like, in the midst of all of that, and the kids royally screwing up,
the poor kids.
Yeah. But also making bad decisions, right? From lack of
sure
care and all those things. And in the end, they just all fucking sit there in it, in acceptance almost, or it's not defeat. It's just acquiescence to how hard it all is. You know, and I don't know. It was this weird confluence of real life and fiction that made me appreciate how powerful drama can be in our lives to sort of galvanize those thoughts.
Like for me, the ending is all about that. There's an understanding of like the connection you have as a family, right? In a certain way, like no matter how much you screw up, you can at least try to understand each other, try to be a family, try to be connected. I love throughout this movie, the children are just always looking out for each other. Like even though they tease each other in certain ways, like I think even from one of the first few scenes, it's just like it's Sam and Ben just like, you know, poking fun and having like their own little like in games with each other. And it's all like, it felt so real and lived in a way that from the get-go, right? We didn't even have to get used to this family. It's like, I get it. Jude Law is the golden boy. Everybody loves him. He's the perfect dad. He brings his wife coffee in the morning. Like, and Carrie Coon is just like, she is no nonsense. She is taking care of these horses. You know, she is doing business. She's making money in her own way. We know these characters so well, but yeah, the ending, what really got me too is his conversation with the cab driver, which I think teeters into
amazing scene. Just amazing scene. Yeah.
It teeters right on the edge of being too much, of just like bluntly stating, you know, the theme of what the movie is trying to be, but also like when Jude Law is like, I had $1 million once, and it's just like, man, just thinking about like him and like that was his dream, and his dream is like he was basically destroyed by his own need to keep bullshitting and trying to get more, and he doesn't know how to be happy, and the cab driver just like lays it out. It's just like, dude, just the family is your most important thing. You have that. You have not lost everything. And actually, by the end of the movie, he has not lost everything, right? His wife left him to kind of stew in his own assholery, but she didn't divorce him. He didn't lose his job. He's just out of the account. They haven't fired him. They can keep going. They can fix this. And to me, that is the most impactful thing of the ending. It's like, she's not just saying, hey, fuck you, guy. You know, I'm done with your thing. Because I think for the past 10 years, at least, most of the evidence we have is that he's provided. You know, they may have had to move a lot, but he seems like he's managed to actually get certain things done, even though by this point, by the time they've moved to London, it's all kind of starting to fall apart, where he doesn't have enough money to pay for the horse barn and everything. So, or the stable. So like, it's all understandable in a way. And you can see why this guy is just, you get him, of somebody aiming to be too much, somebody who has been thought of as a golden child, or has worked so hard to be that, to, you know, escape his past, how he doesn't quite know how to settle and how to be happy. It's also relatable in a way I didn't expect. I thought this was just going to be like The Undoing on HBO, right? Of rich people being assholes. And no, This is like, these are people who make bad decisions sometimes, but it's all like grounded in a certain reality. And man, everything, like, I know Carrie Coon may have some like her own character flaws in this movie, but I think everything she does is at least understandable, because she is so dependent on this guy, and her major issue is basically tying her life to this guy and assuming he always has her best interest, or is always telling the truth, when you can't always do that. But the moment we see her like secret, you know, money cupboard, you're like, oh, she knows she has to have her own thing, because you can't fully trust this guy. Yeah.
Yes. This isn't a surprise to her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Couple questions. What do you guys make of the relationship between him and his mom? Like, it wasn't clear to me who was the more like the worst person in that situation? You know, was it like the mom treated him badly, or